It's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie, even for me. I'm Padma Lakshmi. I'm a writer and producer, and I'm going to tell you one thing I learned about food in every place I've been to. I've learned everything I know about food from living in New York. It's the greatest food city in the world. If you're in New York, make sure you have a long list of different ethnic foods you want to try. Everything from Tibetan to Burmese to Ecuadorian, Arabic food, Lebanese food, Palestinian food, Persian food. Any kind of food you could want, you can find it in New York. And not only in New York, you can find it just in Queens, one of our boroughs. And if you love shopping for spices, go to the spice store, Kalustyan's Foods of the World. It's at 123 Lexington Avenue near 28th Street, and it's so inspiring. You really feel like cooking when you go there. There's nothing you can't find. London, really? You want me to tell you one thing, just one thing I've learned? One thing I can tell you is that the national dish of the UK is actually chicken tikka masala. And if you have any interest in eating that or any Indian food, you have such a choice of great Indian restaurants. Of course, Darjeeling Express is one that I would recommend, but also Dishoom for a faster bite in like a diner-style pan-Indian way, kind of Bombay food style. It's delicious also, but Gymkhana is great as well. You can't go wrong with Indian food in London. London also has great Persian food as well. Of course, lots of great Lebanese food and Hakka cuisine, a lot of good Hakka cuisine. I mean, one good thing about your own home culture having really bad food is that you invite lots of other people to come cook for you, and that's what the biggest colonialists in history have done. Everyone knows that in Miami you have a good Cuban population, but one of the hidden gems is actually breakfast. It's a whole ritual and it's delicious. Everybody does it. You go, you get a little cafecito, a cup of coffee, and a pastelito. And they're usually these wonderful little pastries with guava jam, and sometimes they have cream cheese. It's a tradition and a ritual for all the Cuban dudes out in Miami. If you go to DC, there's a great Afghan restaurant called Lapis. Really good Afghan food is hard to find, and this is extraordinary. I wasn't aware until I filmed Taste the Nation, but there's a really large Afghan community, and there's layers of them from each decade, unfortunately, of difficulty in Afghanistan, from the Russian invasion to the Taliban, and so on and so on. But what it makes for is this vibrant, interesting community and this great food scene. They have dumplings called mantu. They have all kinds of different stews, and of course, rice dishes. The only ones who know how to make rice as well as Indian people are Afghan and Persians. This I didn't know, and I had been to Puerto Rico a couple of times, but when I did this giant road trip all up and down Puerto Rico, there is a place called Ruta de Lechon. It's literally a pork highway, and you can stop and you can get a bunch of little cuts of meat and keep going and make pit stops along the way. It's literally a pork highway. Texas is really interesting. There's lots of different foods. You know, of course, Austin is known for barbecue. So there's Franklin's, there's Lay Barbecue, there's Salt Lick. But then you go to a place like Houston, and it has so much diversity. You can get amazing Indian food, amazing Vietnamese food, the largest Nigerian community in America, or maybe even outside of Nigeria. There's a lot of them there because of higher education and because of the oil industry. There's this giant West African supermarket. One of the restaurants I learned how to cook in was called Safari. Also in El Paso, there's a great little mom and pop Mexican restaurant called Elemi. And I learned not only how to make salsa macha there, but I also learned how to nixtamalize corn and make masa for homemade, handmade corn tortillas. I know when people go to Las Vegas, they think of all these giant restaurants, in these mega casinos, but it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to eat from a buffet, and you don't have to eat some big chef's watered down food that he only visits twice a year. You can actually have great Thai food. There's a wonderful Thai community in Las Vegas. That's because of Nellis Air Force Base and GIs who brought back Thai brides, Thai war brides during the Vietnam War. So they've been there for a good 40, 50 years. There's a great restaurant called Lotus of Siam. It does not disappoint. It's delicious. One of the places that opened my palate and my imagination to how wonderful cheese could be was Paris. And I didn't have a lot of money in those days. And I would just go to the market and I would probably try the patience of the cheesemonger a lot. But I would try all different kinds of cheeses. It opened up a world of flavor and umami that I never knew existed. I grew up using Kraft Parmesan cheese out of that green canister. And in India, the cheese is even worse. We had this weird cube cheese product that was not even real cheese from Amul. It was like a cross between Laughing Cow and something they'd eat in space, I think. So my knowledge of cheese and my appreciation for cheese really just blossomed and exploded when I was first modeling in Paris in the early 90s. I have been to Morocco several times in my life. One thing I learned about is how useful preserved lemons are in cooking. I also learned how to use a tagine for the first time, which is a wonderful way of steam baking anything to keep anything from a roast chicken really, really tender, though of course you won't get that crispy skin, to just cooking vegetables in a stew. And it's one of the most beautiful and healthy ways to cook. Also, go to the YSL, the Yves Saint Laurent gardens in Marrakesh. They're so beautiful. Yves Saint Laurent spent a lot of time in Morocco, between Paris and Morocco. He had a beautiful home there, and they had these gorgeous gardens that they've now turned into a museum. Los Angeles has a great food scene too, but you really have to search for it because Los Angeles is diverse. But my impression is that the different ethnic communities don't really commingle. You can have great Asian food. Of course, you have amazing Mexican food. They're all in different parts of the city. One place I would go to, which is in the San Gabriel Valley, is Alhambra. Alhambra has a really big Chinese community, really great food. There's one giant restaurant that I recently went to called Mountain House, and they have this amazing poached seafood and pickled cabbage soup, and it's delicious. It's so healthy for you. The portions are really large. It comes bubbling hot, and it's a wonderful place to go on a date or for a big giant Sunday brunch with your friends or family. All I ate when I was in Nashville, Tennessee was hot chicken. I watched the person eating that chicken with me turn from a pale white to a beet red pink. It's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie, even for me. When I think of Nashville, I think of Johnny Cash or the Patsy Cline Museum. I usually associate it with country music and predominantly white folk, I'm not gonna lie. And so I was surprised, but whenever I've had hot chicken, it has been an African American cooking it for me. They can eat spicy food, just as spicy as I do. So I'm not so surprised, but it was surprising to find it there. What I love about Hawaii is the interplay between indigenous Hawaiian food and Japanese food. You can see how seamlessly both cultures meld into each other, and you can see how Hawaiian food and all the abundant seafood there has also benefited from Japanese knife skills and technique. And it's just such a natural marriage. And it's hard to see where one cuisine starts and the other stops sometimes, but it doesn't matter because it's all delicious. It's so fresh. Eat all the poke you can find. There's great places which are just fish markets, but have prepared poke behind the counter. And while I would normally not eat raw fish at a convenience store, in Hawaii, it's really good and okay to do so most of the time. There's nobody who's serious about food that I know that isn't obsessed with Japan. Even going to the 7-Eleven in Japan for snacks is an odyssey unto itself. I brought back so many different things. Each like high-end department store, especially in the Ginza district, they have these incredible food halls in the basement of these department stores, and there are so many things. And one of the things that the Japanese are really good at is ritual. And the way that they wrap all these candies is extraordinary. You feel like every time you open a sweet, it's an event. And there's something very luxurious about that. So definitely go check out the food courts. But even just getting a bowl of ramen in the Ginza train station was delicious. And so there's so much to discover. Oh my God, in Singapore, there's really no place you can go wrong. Even a food court in a mall will have a lot of gems. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Go to the night hawkers and have all the street food. You have to stay up late for that. Even in the day, there's a great restaurant called No Signboard Restaurant, because they, for years, didn't have a sign. And you go and you pick your protein. So you pick the frog you're gonna eat or the crab, I know. But still, you should know where your food comes from if you're gonna eat it. You must try the black and white pepper crab. It's delicious. So for India, I mean, it's hard to cover such a vast country with so many people. If you're going to Delhi, have kebabs. There's Bukhara Grill. It's delicious. They actually catered my wedding many eons ago. There's also Indian accent, but the best street food is also in Delhi. Go to Bengali market and have golgappa or pani puri. My record is 36. See if you can beat it. But any kind of street food is delicious. Just be careful, but make sure there are locals eating there. When you go to Mumbai, make sure you do have seafood and you do eat at a seafood place called Trishna, but also that you go behind the Taj Hotel in Old Bombay, because there's amazing kebabs by this place called Bade Mian, which means like big boss, like gangster boss. It's amazing. People are eating on the hoods of their cars, and you can see how they're making the flatbreads, and it's all so fresh, and the meat is perfectly juicy but charred. Some of my relatives won't eat there because they're, sissies about it, but you can do it. Just be careful. In Chennai, any tiffin house that makes dosa, you should go and eat in the old part of Chennai, which is called Mylapore. They have tiffin houses, and you go and you eat at lunch, and you get a thali, and it's everything you can want. It's very inexpensive. It's designed for the working, South Indian businessman to eat lunch fast, but it's delicious. See if you can crash a wedding and have a traditional yele meal. A yele means leaf in Tamil, and it's literally eating on a banana leaf. And I don't know why, but food tastes so much better when you're eating it from a banana leaf. In Kerala, definitely rent a houseboat. The best South Indian food I've ever had in my whole life, I'm sorry to all the women in my family, has been on a houseboat in South India, in the backwaters of Alleppey. It's wonderful. The greatest thing you can do for your intellect, for your point of view, to broaden your horizons and just become happier and smarter is travel. There's nothing to beat it. Whenever I meet a young writer or a young chef and they want to improve their work or, their creativity, I say, hit the road, Jack. Even before, you have a lot of responsibilities. Whatever money you have, invest in yourself by investing in travel.